and we are going to Game 5 between Team Freedom and No Tomorrow. It is awesome. It's our first Game 5 of Phase 2 here in North America.
Definitely not the last. We love Game 5s here in NA. It's going to be the start, and it's the first. It was what I thought it was going to be a close series. We talked about it. We thought it was going to be close. It's just not how I didn't think we would get here like we got here. That's the weird thing. The destination, not surprised. The journey along this series, not where I thought it was going to be. But I'm not necessarily upset with it either. It's just not what I projected to experience here. And neither was game number 5 being settled on Battlefield of Eternity. So
I think people would give you the advice that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But I'm going to tell you that these teams strongly disagree with that.
It triggers me a little you said that only because Snapple fact about Dread. I spent a long while, like a whole week, contemplating that philosophical question of what is, like, I'm not kidding. It's actually, the fact that you say of like, what is more important, the destination or the journey? I spent a long time arguing that, honestly, my eventual conclusion was just, my argument that I made was it neither exists. That was what I got to. That's how far down the rabbit hole.
Guys, this is only day 2 this weekend, and
we are busting out the old school.
Dread's got the philosophy going.
Dread's wacky theory on
life,
whatever,
the universe, and everything.
Everything inside. And Nubrak and Genji are removed. I expect Greymane to be higher priority. The raw Tassadar, essentially, we talked about it already in the series. That what that says. Tracer is the highest priority out of all those options, without a doubt, on this map. Without a doubt. So now, I expect it to be a Varian Uther, right? Both deals with the Tracer decently. Uther is just, I mean, he's the bomb.com. He's way too strong to just ignore. You don't mouth in this. You don't let him go through either, though.
I hate to break it to you, Dread, but Team Freedom lost that game.
They're not going to do it, Gilly. Believe in the heart of the cards. All right? If you believe hard enough, I'm convinced that it's going to change. That they'll stick with it. They'll run
Varian Uther.
They'll run the Varian Uther. Li Ming, Dahaka, neither. They let both support through. They aren't afraid of the Tracer, and they go with the Li Ming.
Dahaka for the side soak.
Yeah.
Li Ming for poke.
Pressure resets everything about it. I mean, they aren't weird in terms of the map.
No,
it's just not what we, again, would assume that these teams would move into.
I like it.
It
says, we are not afraid. We won't be dictated. Like, you can't, with one single Tassadar pick, completely dictate this entire draft.
Yeah.
You will not control us.
We will not be a victim. Fighting back. Fighting the good fight.
You will not assimilate us into your draft, No Tomorrow.
So Tracer what? You either, if you think that whatever the biggest problem is for Task Tracer, you pick it with the Tracer, or you expect your ban to go into it. So if you think Varian's the problem, you take it there. Well, they have to ban Uther now, right?
Yeah.
So now they're essentially saying we... Oh, gosh. Hold on. I need a minute.
Okay.
Why is Malfurion better than Uther in this circumstance? Tassadar for burst, Mal for the sustain. The roots follow-up, there is no direct follow-up. Moonburn is slightly effective on the objective, but doesn't complement the raise.
I think it's the roots, his ability to lock down.
So then you need somebody to set that up. This is, again, one of those things where it's a huge outlier and a draft priority, so you have to assume what are the positives of this pick, what are the things that I need to be afraid of, which is why they're waiting so long. They go, that mouth? What does this mean?
Well, we've seen so many high mouth picks on Battlefield of Eternity, as well as other Battlegrounds, but specifically Battlefield of Eternity because it combos with the stuns of the Immortal. If someone gets stunned by the Immortal, he can throw down the roots too.
No way.
I kind of thought that that's what Tank... Well, yeah, I guess No Tomorrow don't want to have to play versus Varian, but what are you knowing?
They didn't even ban the Uther.
Yeah? That's,
That's where
You're more scared of Varian.
Yeah, that's where I get confused. Oh, I ran into the darkness back there. I mean, I really want to see these next 2 picks on Freedom, or no tomorrow. It's either going to click or I'm just going to be like, that's it. Like, it's one or the other. Because to pick that, not ban it, we talked about it over and over again. It's way too powerful.
This is such a strong draft for Freedom now.
But they gave it to him.
Yeah.
They legitimately were like, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the Li Ming. We'll take the Uther. We'll just stack it on the plate. There's breakfast, boys.
They're the winners of the buffet.
Everybody's a winner of the buffet. Let's be real here.
Not if it runs out of food.
You're right. You're right. That's when it's a not good moment. But up until that point, man, everybody just realized Dread has a. Yep, that's why we're never slimming this one down. Good old buffet.
Everyone's a winner of the buffet. Here we go. HGC Lunara.
Did it have the oomph? Did it have the surprise? ETC was not strong enough of a front line for me to see the argument. If anything, it's the opposite. I can make an argument as to why Uther would be a better support for him than the other way around. The only one I've come up with is denial of Malfurion against the Lunara, if your intent was to move into Lunara that high up, because the sustained DPS,
yeah.
Or it's because the Tassadar is enough of a burst. In your mind, it's enough of a burst. Personally, I don't think that it's enough to justify. Uther brings way too much in other departments to ignore. But that is the only thing I've come up with for No Tomorrow here. On the side of Team Freedom, you get Tyrael. You can Murden.
I would love Tyrael. Tyrael, Greymane, Uther.
On a map like BOE with another reset behind it, and you've already got the macro covered by your Dahaka.
13 out of 10.
13 out of 10. JoJo, gonna be honest, probably the last warrior I expected to see picked there. Definitely the last warrior I expected to be picked there. It's a reliable interrupt to ETC on the mosh pit, and it also, what it does do, most importantly, is it allows you to not be vulnerable to the combo of ETC onto the Immortal Stun itself. It just is a nice defense, but I think it's going to really fall off in teamfight phase. Like, so much so that I think that the last pick might have made me lose a little confidence here in my original thoughts.
You are a roller coaster.
I am. It's just like everything, and then it's like, and now I don't know.
I think that the draft that Freedom has drafted plays well into what they want to do and how they play. But they have the Dahaka to be able to soak on the sides. They have poke from Li Ming and Greymane. They have the ability to stall out on an Immortal while Greymane if they want to do. For when they have a lot of options in how they set up, depending on where Immortal placements take place. You've just got a constant confused look on your face.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's resting confused face.
Well, let's just take it in right into the game. Game number 5 between No Tomorrow, Team Freedom. Only one team walks away with a victory. Because that is how competition works.
Gilly, just, man, you nailed that one. We will figure it out here. The Johanna, though, man. And going with a Regen Master. You know, I'm ready to be proven wrong. My fear, what I'm afraid of with the Johanna pick is that it will not be able to peel anything off of, like, the Tracer. It's such a, if you do not hit the blind or the blind is not available, Blessed Shield is only going to, it's not going to hit her, or not enough to be able to get the pick onto her. You don't have very good follow-up to the Condemn. If there was a Vala, I could see the argument. You know, the Rain follow-up. Johanna, or excuse me, Li Ming is decent, but it's not enough, again, for me to see the argument being made there. But it's all about how it's played. JoJo is a really good warrior, really survivable, and I think that we're going to see a pretty solid argument, especially around the Immortal itself when ETC tries to make something happen, and you're like, here's Zugrug just not caring.
It's also a possible contender to be able to go to the other lane. So if you've got Kira in one lane, then you can send Joe really fast down to Condemn and then go back up. Just having somebody who can quickly clear the wave out so that she is, you do have her as much as possible uptime being in front and protecting Greymane and Li Ming.
And picking the Regen Master only shows that more. Because, I mean, you don't pick that talent unless you intend to be in a lane.
Yeah.
And you have to be looking for the side soak. So I agree with you. The thought process for Freedom is going to be Kira goes the one, Johanna gets the other, and now we've got the side lanes never, at least not neglected here on the Battlefield of Eternity. My fear, though, is just the one thing I thought of that is scary is Freedom is a late game team. It's pretty apparent they struggle in the early game department. Task Tracer on Battlefield of Eternity is enough early game, accents the map, and is just so good pre-9 or pre-10 that I'm like, you know, that might be enough for them to snowball this game to where I don't care how good of a team fight Freedom has, they just flat out can't compete.
Well, Freedom just has to slow things down so they don't get snowballed out of the first couple of Immortals. If they can make it past that, make sure that they have 10, even if they do lose the first 2, then they get into more of a place. And they do have heroes who can slow things down. Zugrug can get onto a point, condemn people in, blinds, try to slow things down that way, and then they have Poke enough maybe to at least scare people away into defense like they're doing it. They have Dahaka down in the bottom lane now. No Tomorrow just now starting to go in for their offense.
Yeah, so it's going to be the 1-4 delay. I mean, you nailed it perfectly. That is exactly the mentality both these teams are going to have around this first Immortal phase. It just comes down to execution.
And they're in a position where Zugrug can go up quickly, but Kira's actually stocked in.
Equinox took way too much damage. Tiger JK falling low. If they get a reset, Nasmus is a bit Look at Zugrug, the rebuttal, the recall too. They are going to be able to make it out. That is now first blood for No Tomorrow.
No Tomorrow pretty close to taking down the Immortal 2. Drag hits. Kira doing what he can to be the tank in lieu of having no Johanna, but all the members of Team Freedom are getting extremely low. Equinox chases down for another kill.
I mean, this is just exactly what we were talking about. The levels 1 through 9 of this composition is insane. The Lunara is what we didn't touch on that pick too much, but we can see why you picked the Lunara. Pretty much modern day Lunara is how I view it is just, would you have picked Jaina in the past? If yes, then Lunara goes there. She accents all the melees, all the chase because she has such a reliable AoE slow post 7. Once she gets Splintered Spear, you don't need the Thornwood Vine to be able to get the AoE onto everybody, get the slow, and then Tracer goes, it's like a heyday. I mean, it's essentially having an Arthas slow on a lot of targets, and it's reliable. So then you enable your Tracer, and then she goes from good to great.
Yeah, she's a setup for anything like an Illidan, a Tracer to take people down too. And she'll have some mobility if she goes into Leaping Strike, but also she has the possibility of getting Greater Spell Shield too, which will help with the damage that Team Freedom has drafted.
Already, the very shielded early Immortal taking out the front wall. Still going to be in range mode though, as long as the HP exists there. Not a good siege for No Tomorrow. They want to dive past the fort and look for a pick. It's all going to be on if Casanova can hit the power slide and Pulse Bomb coming online.
There's a Pulse Bomb available. There goes Casanova.
They laid down the roots and the W from Tassadar. You could tell that was where they wanted to make sure they got the pick. But Zugrug with the Johanna, we talked about her. She's reliable against the ETC up onto the front. And if anytime they hit her, Iron Skin should be enough to keep it safe. We didn't talk about it, but No Tomorrow, it's pretty convenient that Lunara can be the matchup into the Dahaka. One of the few heroes that just doesn't get wrecked by him in that matchup. He actually gets bullied a bit by the Lunara. Much like you see Zagara, probably not as drastic, but pretty close.
And she's just annoying in general because she laughs at you.
She's actually one of the most annoying characters in the entire game.
She can frustrate
you. I
get
triggered just by watching her walk. Like that weird cadence she has going on where it's like I move fast but I move slow. I mean, yeah, but it's just something about her walking around. It doesn't feel right, you know? Look at it. Like, try and tell me if you didn't see that walking in the forest, you want to go, oh, poor little animal, it needs help. Like, you think it's either injured or it's dying, one of the two.
It's all a bait. It's all a ruse.
It's all a ruse.
Kira comes in, seeing the Lunara on the top, but the roots are perfect to zone Team Freedom away from getting a drag and a kill. Pulse Bomb hits Nasmus. Equinox going for the chase. Nasmus survives.
Parting gift there, dropped by Equinox. Didn't have the damage, thanks to the Force Armor picked up at level 1 by Nasmus. Pretty much the only reason, you're going to see him survive outside of getting kills and getting that dominance is, in fact, the very impactful level 1. They're going to commit to this. Equinox all-ins. All the members, oh man, Tiger JK's on a different page from everybody else. They needed his autos, they needed his Moonfire, and that might cost them a pick. But again, the struggles of Johanna, the lack of initiation, especially without having 10.
That fort is barely living. which would be a nice jump in experience for No Tomorrow. But so far, Team Freedom are doing what we asked of them, which is at least maintain the experience. Don't get so far behind that No Tomorrow gets the opportunity to snowball. Collusion's been caught. Pulse Bomb connects. Uses the heal, though, for the armor.
Perfectly timed, you know.
Oh, the drag!
The Q. He gets it. Parting gift out. Just hang the wrist, walk away, man. A lot of confidence. Equinox, they're zoning. They've got the 1-4 split. Lunara's doing work. She went. Oh, baby!
Oh, my goodness!
Oh, that was a fatty orb.
That was painful. I recoiled from that.
I just want to say that they went for the Nature's Calling. They're going for the 1-4 split where Lunara's the split.
Okay.
They aren't going for the chase potential. So now, the team fight of No Tomorrow's worse. The 1-4 puts more pressure onto the Tracer. I just don't understand why No Tomorrow didn't feel comfortable using the Tracer as the one. I mean, just prep the Pulse Bomb, prep the Pulse Bomb, prep it. Lunara gets the Splintered Spear, and then all in.
Well, now she is more formidable in these fights, being able to poke down the Immortal.
Nice drag.
Here comes in. Good night, Malfurion. Team Freedom finding their focus in game number 5.
They need more, though. They've got to get some damage onto those Immortal. That's a 2-man power slide. Nazma is not only low, he's pretty close to Equinox goes in, Pulse Bomb, Recall, Parting Gift, and a pick. Now ETC in a tough spot. 2-for-1 trade in favor of Freedom.
Collusion doing everything he possibly can to keep the damage dealers alive while Equinox just wreaks havoc over them. Greymane lives, Zugrug's getting poked down. Immortal advantage still for No Tomorrow because this entire time Jason has been using that Nature's Calling.
They've just been dominating this map. And the levels 1 through 9, they're almost done, Gilly. They're almost now a 10 mark. Just comes down to, did Freedom lose too much in the structures, and does No Tomorrow gain too much on this? If No Tomorrow walks away with this with a fort in the keep front wall and 1 pick, that is enough of a lead to where it should be about a level and a half that Freedom should not be able to come back. But if they do not get that much value out of this Immortal, that window should be closed. Dahaka should be able to slow play it out, and during the next Immortal phase, Team Freedom gets a momentum swing into their favor. They just need to make sure they get the proper defense here.
Dahaka's coming up, 10 achieved. Team Freedom are looking to get a fight before this gets out of control. Stun throws back Zugrug against the fort. Fort's down. Jason took Thornwood Vine to apply even more with that Nature's Calling, and he is ripping through structures.
Yeah, what I like about the Thornwood Vine is due to the lack of Splinter Spear. I was complaining about, well, it doesn't allow you to chase, but as long as you take the Thornwood and you didn't need the leaping, as long as he doesn't die and way out of position, the argument of going into the Thornwood and going to the Natures is, in fact, most optimal. So it's nice to see that from them. We did see Freedom. They lost the front wall, but they didn't lose a pick. So it's only about a 3/4 level lead. They didn't lose as much as they could have. So it's fine. This is the window. Dahaka should be able to get enough soak. They come back, and now it's really the next Immortal phase for Team Freedom. They've given up their early game, and they're ready for this late game.
Yeah, they're ready for the fight. Team Freedom comes in. Drag doesn't hit. Casanova gets away. Now Kira's in trouble.
That was adaptation, by the way. That was burnt, so they're just a full retreat. They're split too. This is worst case. You never want to isolate and retreat like that. Never do you want to split 2 ways there. If No Tomorrow had identified that faster, halfway through you just all in on the 2, and there's no way they can get that damage over the wall effectively. But not going to capitalize here. ETC was too far away. And it looks like it's just going to be backing out. Freedom again. Their window is all going to be around the Immortals and Johanna Dahaka's side zone.
Man, that was a long time where Dahaka was not in the bottom lane. Now, granted, the lane was pushed, but it's not so far out that it was at the keep, for instance. There was still a fort there. Freedom needs to get out and get into those lanes, get the soak, because they're falling behind in experience, and you cannot fall so far behind that you can't contest the Immortals.
You can't. That's absolute worst case. You're waiting for a miracle play. Just staggered death on staggered death, misposition out of misposition. They're looking for the flank. Dahaka, he knows he may be in rough territory. As long as he finds himself a shrub, which he did, should be able to make it out. Oh my goodness. The minute he burrowed, No Tomorrow, they gave him life right there. The 100% power slide route, just GG, no read. Dahaka going down, especially with no adaptation. So Pure has to be feeling pretty good.
Dread, why didn't they? They
thought that there was more members sitting on that side of the map. Fast enough that Dahaka's burrow mixed with his adaptation, which they didn't obviously keep counted of when it was used, they essentially say the time that buys is enough for them to rotate and actually turn the fight. It's essentially opening with a void on a gank like that. It's like a, hello, would you like 5 seconds to respond to this kill? And if so, like you see plays like that happen and the void drops and you're like, oh, we just wasted the best heroic in the game and we got nothing out of it, so you have no chance.
Pure thinking his lucky stars now. We've got pretty close immortal health, but again, Jason, his ability to apply the Nature's Culling damage is ticking down the health of Beleth, the red immortal.
They move up. Casanova is getting body blocked a bit. That's an Iron Skin very early, not very impactful, so I would expect No Tomorrow to try and capitalize on that because, again, the argument for the Johanna was purely ETC's lack of pressure onto him. When that is down, because there's no cleanse, it 100% forces a Divine Shield or a pre-condemn to get the interrupt onto the Mosh. But No Tomorrow, they play passive again. That cycling of cooldown is going to be back up. Now that window is going to be gone, and they have to just play the AFK poke game.
Pure Burrows has adaptation, heals back up, so that's been used. Johanna goes in with the condemn. Blessed Shield hits. It's time for Team Freedom to look for the resets, but they have to be careful where they set up. Casanova did not have Mosh, so things were better.
Tiger JK held on to Twilight Dream the whole time too, so they are going to dominate this fight if they even need him. Because now with Tracer and Lunara surviving, you see Equinox and friends just putting way too much pressure out. And now this is going to be 23,000 onto the shielding of this Immortal Gilly. This could be game. All it takes is them ignoring the keep, especially through bottom. Okay, the front wall was already taken, I believe. So now they just wait for it to get to the keep, ignore them, move past it. You only have to kill Greymane or Li Ming plus any other hero. That's all you need, and you can end the game for No Tomorrow. But they need to do it once they break past this front wall, and they have to do it quickly. They can't poke, let them reset, and get free damage onto the shielding.
No Divine Shield, no adaptation, no go for the throat for 20 seconds.
Li Ming is the most important, just because she's one of the best anti-siege in the game. She's one of the best anti-core heroes in the game. So that's going to be the focus here. There's one Force Armor down for when we're at level 1, thanks to Thornwood Vine.
Pulse Bomb was used on Zugrug.
There we go. A little bit too slow. No Tomorrow, they're risking it. They go in, there's the Mosh Pit, 2-man, pre-cleanse is there. The Twilight Dream after. Johanna, she lives. Divine Shield used. The Immortal Shielding's down, and it's going to move on to the core. They're going to go in. Blessed Shield Dansky with the Pulse Bomb. 1 member dead, 2 members dead. Reset on reset here for Nasmus, but is it going to matter? The core is already being attacked by the Immortal.
Parting Grift just barely did not claim the life of Dansky. Equinox is found, condemn after Hammer of Justice, and then the drag, all of that used in conjunction to take them out, but the core is falling so rapidly. Nasmus zoning away any of the members of No Tomorrow.
He needs to move the other way. He's just stalling out his own death. Die as fast as possible. No way. Does he do it?
I think so.
Wow. I didn't think there was any way he was going to be able to make that far out. Just with Li Ming, that much pressure. But you see that damage the minions did? Holy cow. Li Ming is fragile when it's not just pure magic damage being put into her.
So Team Freedom... stabilize.
They stabilize is the word.
40%.
Yeah. I mean, No Tomorrow essentially did not get the, you know, I gave my list of parameters necessary to be able to end the game. They didn't meet any of them, and they left themselves with a 40% core. Freedom played it near perfect, moving past it, looking for the kills. This is actually the last thing you want to have happen, especially with a 40% core. Again, it only takes 2 members. Now that it's down to 40, it takes even less.
You can't get these. There's No Tomorrow is going to be there. They want to get the picks required to end the game. If they can't get that, they're taking everything away from you now because they got that kill.
20 seconds. What are we going to see? So most optimal route would be already starting the top camp. No Tomorrow hasn't done that. So then now it's just going to be rid of bottom, time these perfectly, capture them as late as possible. There's a 10-second difference between the Immortals, so it's actually best to, or between the Immortals and Dahaka, capture, don't cap it, start the Immortal, and late cap this as late as possible. This is actually amazing. I love them so much for doing this. Please don't cap it. I just needed about 5 more seconds from you. See, because now you have the defensive posturing, you could have waited a little bit longer, clear out bottom lane one more time, then you get the pressure through and cycle out here. This is the miracle play. Freedom has to force this, and not only force it, they have to win this fight. Otherwise, Catapults win.
Things not starting up super great. Pulse bombs there, but Kira uses his burrow. To watch out for positioning. Mosh pit's possible, but there are a lot of things to stall out. We've seen it be interrupted before this game.
Dahaka's back. Kick off the halftime show. So, window number 1. It's flat shut the minute those puppers just start flying at one another, swinging the swords. Window number 2 here, Freedom.
They just cannot find the opening. There's going to be the stock, but it's heard by No Tomorrow. Condemned trying to keep No Tomorrow in until Team Freedom can set up, but it is not able to be happening, whatever that sentence was.
The Shaman is only escorting more in. They have to get this pick. A lot of damage on the Cure, but they get it. They got the damage. ETC is dead. Adaptation for Cure. Last tick survives. Equinox not there with the burst, but it doesn't change the fact that there's still pressure onto the core of Freedom.
Yeah, Freedom need to get more kills. There's one. They take out Tracer in the blink of an eye. 2 kills, staggered death. But the Immortal, Team Freedom are getting so low. They go back. They're playing with fire, trying to take out Jason.
Tiger JK dropping the ice block. He has Twilight Dream. He might use it. He does. And it's timed after the Divine Shield there. So, in fact, will impact Greymane. Zugrug goes down, but now this is 3 for 1. 7 seconds until ETC is going to be back online. Dahaka got rid of the pressure onto the Catapults at core, but only 3,000 damage is necessary for this Immortal to go in favor of No Tomorrow. Nearly 100%.
It is ridiculous what Jason and Talking Trees have been able to get done because of Jason's poison damage. It is so severe for the members of Team Freedom trying to deal with it. And they've been able to poke this down despite losing a lot of their members, despite not having their support. Team Freedom loses the Immortal. They did what they could to the shielding, but this is still...
They go top. They're going to go top. This is interesting. This is essentially No Tomorrow is not confident they can end the game here. You could say that going top is the safest route because it's with the Immortal, but that core's at 40%. You can feign all-inning that core 5v5 all day. So this is actually No Tomorrow's just straight up going, we aren't totally positive we can do this, and we're going to see what the Immortal looks like. They can. I'm warning, this game is, in my opinion, over already. There's no world Freedom can save this.
Once again, they'll move past. Cure's found. Adaptation down, but catches. Equinox nearly brought down, but cleanse in time. He'll start to heal back up thanks to the regrowth.
The shielding's already gone. There's so much free damage. Cure goes in, distracts. There's going to be a root draw. Oh, Twilight Dream actually not dodged. Johanna is already dead. The shielding now matching. It's already gone. The health down to 60. It met to the core. That's it. There's no way. Go for the throw. Gets a pick. But in the end, with a 40% core, the Immortal moving out, it's GG's. I don't know. I don't even know. After No Tomorrow, they came out and were the better team today. But even at the end there, you could see they were both teams second-guessing themselves on so many circumstances. It's just crazy. I can understand feeling the pressure and really wanting to win this series, but it was so drastic that you can just see that they're trying to figure out communication-wise and strategy-wise, again, who they are as a group of players, but more importantly, what they want to be as a group of players.
The best thing for both of these teams, at least, is now with 2 matches underway, they have a lot of time. They have this next week to get used to each other more, but they also have to get used to a new meta because of the new patch. So they have a lot to recover with. No Tomorrow comes out just slightly ahead of Team Freedom in this match, but it was so close. It was splitting hairs who ends up with the victory in this match.
It is. It was a roller coaster, even for me. I felt like for sure Freedom, then I was like for sure No Tomorrow. And even in the last game, I was just like, well, once I see the Johanna pick, I'm not even confident from them. But in the end here, it goes over to No Tomorrow. And again, that means a lot for them. Just when it comes to the standings, because of how close they existed into the last one, we know that this series alone, what you just experienced, might be the single factor between one of these teams going to a Crucible, going to, competing at our next level championship. It's just, it is relevant starting out the gates here. No Tomorrow with the win, it's got to feel good, especially for that team coming off the Crucible.
What I will say after watching that game between No Tomorrow and Team Freedom is it does feel like No Tomorrow handled the pressure just better than Team Freedom. By the last game, there were a lot of misplays. There were definitely misplays on either side, but it did seem like the experience that No Tomorrow has brought in, especially the experience with Equinox shot calling too, was enough to give the edge to No Tomorrow in that match.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to, even talk to Cure and his perspective on that, because we also have to keep in mind that, yeah, Cure has subbed at the HGC North America, but he didn't have expectations of him, right? It was just don't feed is really all you assume or want from a sub most of the time. It's just not be the reason that a team loses is all you can hope for. And now he has expectations of him. He is got a lot of hype, has an insane amount of hype from the community's perspective onto his shoulders, and having to meet up to that could be very difficult. Not everybody will, especially now. Yes, he has won Dorm, but again, this is the pro level. We're at the big leagues now. It is a different ball game, and I think you can even see it here when looking at his play through the series.
Well, let's talk to someone who has been able to have sort of a same experience, Casanova from No Tomorrow. Hey, Casanova, congratulations. How did you guys feel about that series, and what were your expectations going in?
Yeah, hey guys. We expected to win, but we did think that they would be a little bit stronger than Superstars overall. I'm just really disappointed in my own performance today. I feel like my team played pretty well overall. They did a really good job. I think the last 2 games, I think I really underperformed, and I know I'm still trying to step it up. I'm new to the tank role, and I think overall we're gonna just get better as a team as we mesh more. Especially just with me and Equinox's synergy getting better and better as we go on. I'm really excited for the future here.
Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Diablo. We've seen you play Diablo a few times now. Where you think he fits in compositions? Is it specifically Battlegrounds? Is it compositions for your team?
So we have a bunch of different ideas about Diablo. We do think he's really good, but he is pretty situational. I feel like I had my worst Diablo game I've played in my life on Tomb. When we play him in scrims, Equinox and I, whoever's on it, we're just dunking people all day. So I felt really horrible after that game, but I just tried to recoup, and I knew we were going to Battlefield, and we're extremely confident on Battlefield. I don't think we've lost it in a long time. So we were just okay, we're just gonna play our strategy and win this game.
Nice. It's really good to hear that you guys are able to reset mentally, especially with such an important Game 5. Dread?
I've got to ask mainly just about your guys' next week and kind of what that looks like. I was just more of what does it look like to be a team that's coming off the roster swap, still trying to find themselves, still trying to figure out where they want to go with that self-identity and play style. And now you've got a very promising opening week. It could not have been better. So now a week forward, what do you do to improve and grow as this 5-man group and, smooth out the rough edges?
Yeah, so really I think it's a lot of individual practices, especially for me and Equinox, because he's switching back to melee. He is really good melee and his mechanics are great, but he still has to readjust to playing the melee playstyle. And for me, tank is a really hard role to learn. Mechanically I can play it, I think, pretty well, because I was a melee assassin player. You need a lot more mechanics to play melee than you do on tank, but there's so many different small nuances to play tank that it's it's so hard for me. I'm just trying to figure it out best I can, and I think as it goes on, I'm gonna learn that and I'm gonna become better and better.
It just makes me happy to hear that, just because I've tried to convey to the audience of how weird it is to learn Warriors and support. It doesn't matter how good you are at clicking the buttons. You have to know so many weird small things. So thank you for admitting that.
You can just snap die in an instant when you feel oh, this is a great play here. Oh, I'm just going to stun this guy, and then your health bar disappears. And it's oh, okay, well, guess I can't do that next time. But then sometimes you can do it. It's so, there's so many different things peeling, anchoring, oh my god. It's a tough role, and I'm just doing my best. I really am confident though that by the end of the season, I'm gonna be able to compete with the best tanks in NA.
I believe.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to hear that. You guys are playing Tempo Storm next week. How are you gonna be preparing for that matchup?
Yeah, we're just going to keep up the same thing. Just make sure we have a bunch of different strategies. This week, we more looked at like hero priority, and then we had some like pocket picks that we wanted to pull out. Like carrying on Tomb was fun to play. Like it didn't work out, but you know we wanted to try it. I think we're gonna keep going with a few pocket picks, but mainly just looking at the priority of the new patch and just do our best to play against Tempo. Like I think we are a strong enough team to beat them at our best. So as long as we just bring it, I think we can do it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Good luck versus Tempo Storm. Before you go celebrate with your team, any shout-outs?
Yeah, just shout out to the whole team again. Shout outs to Equinox for coming in, and we're 2-0 already with him, so it feels good. And shout out to our manager, Chrissy Flower. Yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you, Casa. No tomorrow. 2 victories has to feel miles better. Just so good after how Phase 1 went for No Tomorrow. But Team Freedom really brought it in. Loving to see how these teams are adapting to their new rosters as well as to the new meta.
Yeah, but it's not over. We have other games here today.
Really?
It's pretty exciting ones too on top of it.
Oh, what is it?
I think it's it's Gale Force Esports versus Naventix. So I mean, it's we got the juicy drum here. We've got the reveal of 2 long-standing North American teams here at the HGC. I'm not trying to downplay what we just witnessed, learning and seeing of those new teams, but we've got old faces with new versions of them still ahead.
There's a lot more excitement to come. We're going to a break, and when we come back, Gale Force Esports takes on Naventix. See you then.